Hi there, it's Nina. Today's topic is how to draw arms. By following these 4 steps, let's make your arm drawing much more convincing. And at the end, there is a 5th step, the practical application. Alright, let's go through them one by one. First, let's talk about proportions. You might already know that the arm is divided into equal parts like this. However, for beginners, even if they get the equal spacing right, they often get the overall length wrong. When looking at the whole body, the arms generally reach about this length, and the elbows align roughly with the navel. Keeping this in mind while drawing is important. For example, if you're drawing a character from the chest up and decide to place a saluting hand around here, it might not look too off when isolated like this. But if you then try to connect it back to the body, you might end up creating something monster like this. I know what you're thinking. No way, who would make that mistake? But believe it or not, I see this kind of thing quite often on social media. That's why, even if you're only drawing the upper body, you should always keep the overall body proportions in mind. Once you understand the proportions, don't start by drawing the arm right away. Just like in gesture drawing, it's better to begin with circles and lines to map out the pose. Experiment with different poses to get a feel for the arm's length and movement. Here's a tip especially useful for beginners. Start with the hand. This is particularly effective when the character is holding an object. Start by drawing the object first. For example, if the character is holding a phone, fix the position of the phone first. Then, draw the hand, and finally, work your way up to the elbow. Let's try an example. Drawing someone drinking from a water bottle. If you stood by drawing the arm, you might end up with a pose where the bottle doesn't reach the mouth. Instead, if they're holding an object, start with that object. Then draw the hand, gripping it, and afterward, think about where the elbow should go, keeping in mind the even spacing of the arm. This approach makes it much easier to understand the flow of movement. Alright, once you've got the proportions down, it's time to sketch the arm using cylindrical shapes. But here's something crucial. The forearm isn't just a perfect round cylinder. There are actually 2 bones inside. So instead of picturing a perfectly round shape, think of a more flattened oval. There are 2 bones in the forearm, and when the arm rotates, the wrist thickness changes depending on the angle. Have you ever paid attention to that before? From the front, the wrist appears wide and flat. But from this angle, it suddenly looks much thinner. These days, you can easily access 3D and anatomical models online, so make sure to study them. So remember, the thickness of the wrist changes depending on which way the hand is facing. It's one of those things that seem obvious once pointed out, but many people forget to consider the angle when drawing. It's just a small detail, but being mindful of it can make your illustrations much more convincing. Alright, now let's add some muscle to the arm. Since this is a beginner friendly, I won't go into all the detail of the muscle, but there's one particular muscle I want you to pay attention to. It stretches from the thumb to this point and creates a noticeable bump. Whether or not you include this muscle can really affect how realistic your arm looks. The interesting thing about this muscle is that it follows the thumb no matter the rotation. For example, if you only rotate the forearm, the muscles move like this. By paying attention to this muscle movement, your arm drawings will instantly look more realistic. Just look at your arm and then try it and rotate it, right? Okay, finally, let's move on to the practical application. At first, I wasn't planning on including the hand in this drawing, but it felt a little empty around here, so I thought maybe I'll make them hold a flower. However, if you just jump right into drawing the arm, you might find yourself thinking, does it go here or maybe here, and end up with a little awkward looking hand. In those cases, follow the steps we've covered and sketch out the rest of the body, outside of the frame. Even if it's just roughly, it's okay, of course. I know it might feel like extra work, but drawing the parts of the body that are outside of the frame is especially important for beginners. It might seem like a lot of effort, but by doing this, you'll be able to create a much more convincing art. So even if your composition only shows the upper body or shoulders, make the effort to sketch out the arms from outside the frame, whenever the hands are visible. It will really help add a sense of realism to your drawing. Okay, that's all for today's video. If you found any of this useful or helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support really keeps me motivated. I also love interacting with you in the comments, so feel free to drop a message. Alright, so we'll see you in the next video. Have a great drawing day, and bye-bye.